What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be taking a look over here at the Bitcoin price chart. We're also going to look at a lot of different altcoins like Ethereum, Litecoin, and of course, we'll take a look over there at the XRP price chart. Over the weekend, I posted a tweet and I said it feels good to have more time to just sit and stare at charts again. It's been a long time since the market has looked this optimistic. July looks primed to be a heck of a great month. As most of you guys know, I've spent the last 3 months building out an insane amount of content over there on bcbacker.com with over 40 videos published over here. And as I've had time available to me now, I've been able to just go around and look at a ton more charts. You can look at a lot of things on different time frames. And it helps me kind of like go down the rabbit hole a little bit further when I'm not on such a time crunch. But I wanted to show you some of the things that I see over here in the crypto market that have me excited just from a technical perspective of what we're seeing happening with a lot of these altcoins. And of course, over here with Bitcoin. So we'll start here with Bitcoin. We'll shift over there to XRP and then we'll just kind of keep going down the list so we can see these things throughout the whole market on the bigger time frames of how exciting it looks to me in the market. First, it should be no surprise. We watched it for several months there looking for an ABC correction for Bitcoin. It's worked its way back out. Now just waiting for us to go ahead and start shifting up one more level, barring any type of surprise catalyst again, like we got last Friday with Wall Street Journal, SEC, anonymous sources, ETF news that we watched happen live in the middle of markets in the morning. This thing looks primed for a good week ahead, so I'm excited for that. We'll see if this thing finally does break from the range. As you know, when we broke up here, the thing was, hey, let's hold here. Let's stay here. Let's not be drifting back down again. If this thing is super bullish, it should be able to hold. Well, guess what? We are now 2 weeks into it and still holding. So it looks great to me. Looking at Bitcoin on the bigger time frames on the screen, we pretty much have a decade. We have 10 years on the screen here. I mean, we notice with the relative strength, we pull all the way back down, we get into oversold. We pull all the way down, we get into oversold. We pull all the way down, we get into oversold. Those all marked the bottoms coming in. We caught all of that, of course, live. Spending a whole year fighting the 10 to 12Kers in here. Obviously, we've had our big move out of here with our relative strength index pulling out. All of these marked that we were already out from the lows. On the weekly time frame, we can see stochastic RSI starting to turn back up again. Now, of course, come the big arguments. Are we going to have another one of these? Are we going to have one of these where we just kind of grind our way up? Or do we have the C19 flashers still coming? I still get comments to this day. 10 to 12K is still coming. And I've always kind of laughed at it because I've always tried to say, hey, can you give me the reason for why 10 to 12K? And over the course of, an entire year of being down there at the lows, not a single person could ever give it to me. They were all just regurgitating the exact same thing. But, it's like I knew why they were saying 10 to 12K. I was just trying to get somebody to say it, which they wouldn't. But essentially, the 10 to 12K argument, it's just that we're going to do the same percentage pull down that we did for the last two, right? So it didn't do it, right? But what we did do is we flashed every single thing that always happens that marks these lows. Not only here on the weekly time frame to say that that was our bottom, but now we see it even here over on the monthly time frame. And that when I look at this and how the stochastic RSI is just shooting straight up, it just, of course, we just look to the past to see that. But as you can see here, even on the monthly time frame for the MACD, we've got our first green bar printed since 2021. Boom. On the monthly time frame. So, go back and look at these and see, what happens after you have your very first one printed in here on all of these. Maybe we can even go back in here, mark that one. They all represented we were on our way. Now there's going to be the big argument on where are we going to have some kind of grind like this, something much faster. Do we go revisit the lows? But I want to take a look back down here at the bottom of the screen again and look at these oscillators to show, right? We know this has been the marker down in here that we're pulling out of the lows and we're on our way. I wrote a long newsletter last week. I did a video last week on Ethereum discussing how the technical top of the market was actually back here back in April and May. We know this as we went through all of this stuff down in here. What did we see going on in the market in here is that we were acting like this moment in time for Bitcoin and we were acting like this moment in time for Bitcoin. Everybody's looking for a blow off top, but for some reason we exhibit a bear market fractal right here from the very top, which as we know is the one that we exhibited way deep in the bear of 2018. Why would this show up here? And as I showed you guys last week with Ethereum, with the expanded flat, as I've written about over there in the newsletter, as we've talked about many times over here on the YouTube channel, is that all the technical markings showed that that was where the peak was back in April and May. And so we're talking over here about, hey, we got the MACD, it's flipping green for the first time, and to show that, as we could see right in here, this is where our relative strength index falls off the cliff, right? This is where our stochastic relative strength falls off the cliff. Notice these are where these occur back in 2017, right there in December. Other thing to take notice of is that MACD in there. We can see it's at this point, right? We flip. The growth is over, the decline is in. Notice here in 2021, there back in April, the growth is over, the decline is in. And that all starts right here from April. And so I think one of the things a lot of people are looking for is they're, of course, going with the 4-year cycles and the block reward halvings, which I've shown time and time again, those don't align. But even if you wanted to use this concept, I think a lot of people think of the technical top of the market coming in there in November of 2021, and that we're, only a year and a half into this. And I don't think they realize we're much further into this than they think. And that if you look at where we are right now, we are 27 monthly bars into this. 27 monthly bars into the last cycle puts you right there, which you saw me worried about last month, saying, hey, our timing is aligning on a lot of these altcoins. As you can see, it aligns here too. This was the C19 sell-off that happened for Bitcoin back then. I think it's going to be hard pressed to say we have to have a C19 sell-off again because we had a C19 sell-off last time. I don't think so. Last time we had already gone back into a full retracement, right? We'd already gotten almost to a 702 retracement, a contracting triangle, a crash, retrace, reaccumulation. We'd already gotten excessive within our range. We haven't gotten excessive in this range. And for those who were here that whole time watching the super cycle of Bitcoin, it was essentially already even baked into the cake that we were going to have something like that, as we had known that we were doing the exact same thing from the past super cycle. And our consolidation phase had gone down to these lows with a retrace and a revisit to go up, lows, revisit, up. It even had the same A, B, C in here as we had in here, A, B, C. So current times are just not the same scenario as they were then. But for those who are thinking, oh, we're only a year and a half into this, we're technically about 2.5 years into this. And rather than fight all the arguments of saying 4-year block reward halvings, 4-year cycles, all that stuff, I'll save that for another video, maybe for later today, where we'll just focus on Bitcoin. But I wanted to show you on the bigger timeframes as well. We've shown that the momentum is turning. And even back in 2018, 2019, 2020, once we got that flip to start coming back in, that's when really exciting things happen. And then we look at shorter timeframes and we say, well, with shorter timeframes, we have the same stuff coming off of the same corrections. And then even time, it actually puts us at a different spot, even further along, that it's like we're pulling way deep out of C19 and we're coming into like a point where it's actually going to get super exciting and super euphoric. And it's not just Bitcoin that we see this in. We see this over here in XRP as well. As you guys know, we've been in this range for a very long time in here. We've nearly hit in the same amount of time that we spent consolidating like this back in 2014 through 2017, which we could see over here. But even the current price action we're seeing now for XRP mimics the same thing we're seeing over there on Bitcoin, that it's as if we've already come out of C19, and that C19 actually ended up occurring way back in here when our catalyst, like we had for C19, our catalyst in the market was the FTX collapse, and that our timing in here as well is also aligned up. And even in that moment, as we've shown in here, this was a bounce off of the 200-day moving average, as we've seen here for XRP currently. I'll switch this and just show that real fast. And there you go. That was the bounce off the 200 after the C19 capitulation happening in here. And even from a timing, right, these things come down and are behaving in line with each other. And as I've also shown with this, looking at the time period we're in currently with XRP right now, and saying, well, are we even in similar circumstances, right? Because we can overlay these fractals all we want, but is there other conditions, is there confluence in the market that's also corroborating what we're seeing, that we would be hitting this 200-day moving average, and that this would even be relevant to be using here currently right now? And it's that we've been using this time period for Bitcoin for this thing the whole time. This price behavior is right after C19, right back in here, back in August through October into November. of 2020. And that's exactly where we were having that price behavior happen for XRP. It was in the same time, coming off of C19 after the ABC correction, flipping to the upside, holding on top of that 200-day moving average, and then whoop, off and away it goes. And that the current price behavior that we're having not only mimics the previous behavior, but it mimics the previous behavior from a very specific moment in time that is very similar to our current moment in time. And so I'm talking about July looks pretty exciting. You could see it for yourself right there. It does. You could see it right here for Bitcoin. It does. You could see Ethereum bouncing off the 200-day moving average again. And what happens if we look at the big time frames for Ethereum? The same stuff is going on in here. Look at that stochastic RSI. You could see the stochastic RSI back here in June of 2020, right? It got this high that time before things started really rocking, but obviously letting us know we were out. And it was not long after that before things really got rocking. You understand, Ethereum's only $227 here. And when we're on this log scale, sometimes that's a little bit difficult to see here. But let's take it off log scale to put that into perception here. That's where you were as that got that high, as that stochastic RSI had started shooting its way all the way up. And we're now getting to that level. I don't know. I find that just difficult to not sit there and get excited about. And I do get it. Not everybody cares about Bitcoin. Not everybody cares about XRP. Not everybody cares about Ethereum. But it's just when we look throughout the market, you see Bitcoin set up, ready for another leg up if we continue doing this. You see XRP ready for another leg up, operating on same time frames. You see Ethereum screaming what it screamed before things got insane back in 2020. And not to mention the surprises that have come out of this market, like things like Bitcoin Cash, and that these structures are printed everywhere. And after downtrending for nearly 2 years, for some reason, there's mega excitement over there in some of these grayscale products, like the Stellar Lumens Trust, which out of nowhere, just last week, up over 300%. But it's not just these, of course, right? There's been things going on over there with Litecoin, too. You got that Litecoin halving coming up. You got a lot of people saying, hey, it's the Litecoin halving that's moving the price up. I'd argue differently. The Litecoin halving from 2019 happened on August 5th. That was right here. So what would be the argument? The argument would be that price ran up prior to the halving of Litecoin's block reward. But what you also have to argue is that the bottom came in when Bitcoin came in, right? The peak of retracement came in when Bitcoin's retracement came in. Price popped up when Bitcoin's price popped up, and then price still continued to follow Bitcoin exactly. So I find it hard to argue that there's some correlation happening here on Litecoin's block reward halving happening here in the market when Litecoin acted like Bitcoin, bottomed at the same point, peaked at the same point, and then obviously identical. So Litecoin's expected to have another block reward halving there on August 3rd. So you got people saying, oh, the price is going up due to that. But we can look at the technical stuff here on Litecoin as well. And I'll show you something else too that just gets you scratching your head. So first things is we could see where the top of Litecoin occurred at, right? We obviously have it here back in December of 2017. And then we have it right here when May of 2021. That is the peak. We see that in lots of altcoins throughout the market, that the peak of the market was there in April and May, as we've discussed over there with Bitcoin and with Ethereum, that the technical indicators all suggest that as well. Lots of the altcoins did that too. But something to look at when it comes to like monthly indicators and oscillators is that, well, wait a minute, what's going on here with the stochastic RSI pushing all the way up to near 100 at this point, right? Here's the retracement, right? Here's the pop off the low into retracement, and look where the stochastic tops out at, right? We're already beyond that, and not only are we beyond that, we're on our 5th month of being above there. That's just a quick retrace and a pull straight back down. We're all the way up and we're holding. It's very similar to kind of something like this, right? Secondly, looking at it from a time perspective of when this happened, when did peak happen? When did peak happen? This right here is 18 bars. So 18 months, a year and a half. Where are we at right now? Well, we're at 26. So we're 26 months into this. So if we were 26 months into this, where would it put us at? Again, back at that nearly C19 level. But to compare these two cycles and say they're the same is very difficult to do, because then you have to also argue, look where we are here. We're pretty much dead. Look where we are here. We're crushing it. Look at the MACD just bleeding down. Look at us flipping up above the baseline, right? So when it comes to reading the MACD, the way traders try to trade this thing is as long as it goes below the baseline, which is 0, And then once they cross, that's their big signal. We have that, right? That's your signal right down in here. Below the baseline, cross. So it's just another one of those things showing up in the market. You got Ethereum, you got Bitcoin, you got XRP, you got Litecoin, you got Bitcoin Cash, you got Stellar Lumens Trust. And if we try to guess on time with all these things to say, are all these indicators pointing bullish? And it would say, yes, they are. And even price behavior pointing bullish. So it's not just like overlaying fractals and saying, hey, this fractal looks similar. It's saying, hey, this fractal is similar. And it's also similar from a very particular moment in time where price behavior was similar. And then looking at all the underlying strength indicators, all of them are pointing straight to the upside on giant time frames. And if we try to like guess time in here, it says we're not too far away. And if anything, that July could be a rock star month. And we see that on both Bitcoin and we see that both on there over there on XRP as well. And I think we're obviously seeing signs of that as we keep seeing over on the right side of the screen with these altcoins, various ones every day are having their bigger moves. We are no longer doing that stuff of 2%, 3%, 4%, where nothing is willing to go through any type of breakout. There are breakouts that are happening. There are big pushes to the upside where like year-long ranges are getting broken from. And not only does that previous price behavior from that very specific moment in time for XRP align, but of course, the one that we've even had in here that we've now been in for over 2 years is now approaching near the end as well, where this thing even finishes itself here in July. And so as we have the first video here on the channel for the month of July, I have to say, I do believe July looks to be primed to be a heck of a great month. And I just don't think a lot of people are noticing how ridiculous a lot of this stuff is looking. And that it's been a long time since we've seen anything remotely as strong under the hood as what we're seeing right now. So hopefully we can see our exit here from this range for Bitcoin this week. I'm not naive enough to believe we won't see volatility along the way, ups and downs, scares. We've had plenty of like timed news narratives are going to come out. Probably going to have more of those happen along the way. But the buying that is happening underneath that we just don't see here on the price chart, when we see all those indicators telling us the buying versus the selling, the buyers are massively beating out the sellers right now. So hopefully we can get this out of here pretty soon and set the stage for the rest of the month. With it being a holiday week this week here in the United States, it's the 4th of July tomorrow. Videos will be spotty there on Tuesday and on Wednesday. But today I will be doing a Twitter Spaces with XRP Productions and the Expector guys over there on Twitter. It will be at noon Eastern time. And then this evening, I'll be having a Twitter Space over there with Mr. I, or Mr. Intuitive, the cool guy. I'll be hanging out with him at 7 p.m. Eastern time over there on Twitter as well. So while Tuesday and Wednesday will be a little spotty due to the holiday, there'll be a little bit of extra content out there today in regards to Twitter Spaces. And I'm going to work my best on trying to at least record out one more video to get it released either later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. Otherwise, it's a great opportunity to check out bcbacker.com, which of course is what I've been working on for the last several months with over 40 videos and 11 hours of content. I've gone into deep depth on a lot about charting, a lot about effective tools, popular patterns, everybody's favorite Wyckoff method and Elliott wave theory, then the historical behavior of the crypto market, and a lot of like stuff I've learned from just experience in the market to try to help give a full perspective of what this market has truly been like. Each section consists of videos. Many include PDFs that are here that are viewable on the page, but also you can download these. I did include download links for all the PDFs. There's even a master file down here that puts all of them into one big master file for you. And then there's even additional links in these sections for you to continue additional learning if you would like to elaborate on a particular subject. But I tried to record it all in the same manner that I do here on the YouTube channel. Try not to keep it like a PowerPoint presentation, but just deliver it in my own style. Over the weekend, I've been sharing a lot of the testimonials over there on Twitter. It's always nice when people write nice things when you do something that you've worked on for so long. I really appreciate all the kind words that you guys have to say and the fact that you posted over there on Twitter. It means a lot to me. And if any of you guys have testimonials you want to write over there on Twitter, feel free to do so. And I'll do my best to share those as well. I know a lot of times people sit on the fence. They wonder, what am I going to get? BCB says it's going to be this, but what do other people have to say? So I decided to share a lot of these. of what people had to say throughout the weekend. So if you want to share them over there too, you can. Or if you want to check them out, I've got them over there on my Twitter. Till then, as the next couple of days are spotty, good opportunity to catch up on all of these. There's a link in the description of this video to bcbacker.com, or of course, you can just go there directly. So all right, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Here's to a great July. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.